This is Purple Radio.
Hello and welcome to Purple Radio's one-on-one interviews with the Durham students nominated to stand as candidates in the upcoming Students' Union election. My name is Gabriel Radis, station manager of Purple Radio, and I'll be interviewing each presidential candidate. First up today, candidate Aditya Lathar, president of the Durham University Indian Society and international officer of Stevenson College. This interview will be conducted in 4 parts. We'll have a look at eligibility, your policies, the SU, and Durham. And now we have a slightly shorter than time sort of slot allocation because of a bit of a mix-up, but we'll try and get through each of the 4 policies and each of the 4 categories. Aditya, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. All good. So why SU president?
So I'm running this election to make sure that student voices are heard. I'm running for students' welfare. It's not about getting paid job. It's all about the welfare of student. The SU president has only one role, that is to secure social welfare of all the students. That's why I'm running for the SU president.
And why not go for welfare or liberation officer? Why president specifically?
If you are president, you are at a bigger role, and you can apart from welfare, you can work on different issues like of student. You can fight against student rise of fees, and you can also talk about making decisions in a bigger way. Instead of running for welfare, you can decide on getting on work on bigger things. You can make change. You can make change if you're the president of the student union.
Sure. And I don't know how many members are there in the Durham University Indian Society?
There are 285 members at the moment.
85 members.
Yeah.
So 85 members is significantly smaller than, say, 20,000 plus students at Durham. Do you think the experience you have at the Indian Society gives you the required experience to be SU president?
I'm not running on the behalf of Indian students. I'm running on behalf of all the students, whether it's home or international students. It's not about the Indian students. It's all about all the students, because the position of the Durham Student Union president is to serve all the students. It's not about serving Indian students or Pakistani students or the Asian students.
I guess my point was more like it's a small society, and what experience do you have of handling a much bigger entity than just 85 students?
It's not about a small society, because I was the cultural president of the Durham. I was the cultural president of the Delhi University, which is the most populous student university back in India. So I was a cultural president. I handled and organized a cultural fest for around 40,000 students studying in Delhi University. So it's a bigger platform here at Durham. So it doesn't make difference for me.
And what gives you the most qualifications to do this job ahead of the other candidates? For example, there's the SU president rerunning again. What gives you the most qualifications and the best opportunity to really do this role correctly?
I can tell one thing. I've worked as a cultural president of Delhi University. I was the youngest. I was the youngest to be elected as the Durham Indian Soc president. I was elected as the international officer of my college JCR in my first year. I can tell one thing. It's not about I'm underdog or something else, because people might raise that I'm outsider. But I can tell one thing to everyone, that my great grandfather lost his life in the First World War fighting for the British Indian Army. He didn't think once his fight on whose behalf he's fighting. So I can tell one thing: I'll work for all the students.
Thank you. We'll touch on policies now. And obviously your manifesto has not been made public yet, but I'd like to just know your major policies and just a brief overview of what you plan to do if you were to be elected as SU president.
If I'll be elected as SU president, I'll fight against the rise of student fees for both home and international students. You know that fees has been increased by 2,500 pounds. I'm doing law. I'm paying 19,000 pounds for my course. Similarly, the freshers who are doing the same course, they are paying 21,700 pounds. So it's not equivalent. So there should be this disparity should be disappear. So I'll fight against this thing. And apart from that, I want that there should be a e-library access to all the students even after like their graduation.
And
And
how would you go about doing that?
what?
How would you go about exacting those policies? I mean, you talk about lowering rent or advocating for rent, but how can you make sure that that becomes a reality for people who aren't sure whether the promises will manifest into actual things?
I'll lobby the university to implement the no detriment policy. Also lobby. I'll raise the question of the fees rise in front of our vice chancellor when I'll be in the weekly talks with the vice president. If I won't be able to do it, I'll resign it for sure because I'm doing it for the students. I can also tell one thing, there should be implementation of no detriment policy at the moment. I also lobby the university to implement the no detriment policy, which was introduced last year. I don't know why it was like it's not been introduced this year. It's the same situation, and like cases are increasing day by day. Situation is getting worse and worse. So that's the
So,
thing.
with the no detriment policy,
Yeah.
how comfortable do you feel next year, for example, if you're advocating for a no detriment policy this year, what would you advocate for next year when third years or finalists will have had 2 years of no detriment policy? How will you what would be the process in order to find out the true grade for them?
I'll just work according. I'll set up a special committees to look into that, and that special committee will decide whether in which direction this no detriment policy should work, whether it's second year students or third year students.
And obviously, as president of the SU, you have a committee under you, you have officers that work with you. How comfortable do you feel working to push your own policies amongst a committee of other interested, active students?
As I've told, I'm already working as the international officer of Stephenson JCR, and I'm also working as the president of Durham Indian Society. It's not a big issue or it's not a big problem. I can handle it. I'll do in collaboration collaborating with all my peers, all my colleagues who are who are elected in our SU, who will be elected in our SU next year with me. I'll make sure even their voices are heard, and I'll make sure that even they have a bigger role in decision making with me.
Mm. I would like to touch on the SU now and have a look at the student union as a whole. The student union there is quite a lot of apathy towards the student union at the moment, and you can say that there are a lot of Durham students that aren't 100% behind the student union. How do you feel is the best way to change that apathy?
First of all, I want to tell about the SU arbitrariness at the moment. You won't believe the closing date of the nomination was 29 January. Through your prestigious radio platform, I just want to tell all the students the closing of the nomination was 29 January. Instead of doing that, the nomination portal was still open for 4 days. and and I to make sure that like it's working or not working, I asked one of my friend to file her nomination. You won't believe her nomination was accepted even after the closing date of the nomination. So it's a type of malfunctioning which is going within our SU. How can someone's nomination can be accepted even after the closing of the nomination date? I have evidence and proof of that. I have the proof like someone's nomination was accepted after the closing of nomination date. So it's a irregularity which is going between our SU, and I'm very doubtful. It was done. It could be done in order to like to nominate their favorite candidate, and it could be done. It was done to elect their own candidate so that they can work. So can they can work according to them. So they can work as their puppet. I can just repeat what I said in the beginning. I'm not running for I'm not running for this post to get a paid job. It's not about getting salary. It's not about getting funds or another privileges as the SU president. It's all about students' welfare. That's the thing. There was a huge controversy last year regarding the RON. Still, in this year, RON made an official entity in this, and this issue, like non-closure of nomination date, is very doubtful. I'm very suspicious of SU's intention. I just want that election process should be transparent, and SU should declare at what time like every candidate like nominated themselves, so that there should be transparency.
The way you're coming across is you're quite an anti-establishment character and figure, I imagine, in this election. In terms of, you see a lot wrong with the students' union, and we can argue as to whether that's right or not. But the point being, if you were to be elected, then you become an anti-establishment character in an establishment position. How do you feel about the people that you will work with, the SU people that you are currently saying are conducting improper work, improper conduct? How can you work with those people when you are so against the establishment that you want to be head of?
If someone is wrong, we should come in front of everyone. Like if someone is doing wrong thing, we all should come forward to say that is this thing is wrong, this thing is right. It's not about like, it's not about the issue we were saying. If I'll be elected, I'll make sure there should be transparency, and that should be solved. This issue should be solved. Like there should be any doubt. No one should be suspicious about this thing. That where I'm at this moment, because I have evidence and proof that how someone's candidate like nomination has been accepted. So can you tell me, can you tell me that how someone's nomination has been accepted after the closing of the date? There should be transparency. That's what I want. If I'll be elected, I'll make sure SU election will be transparent. There was huge controversy last year. I'm telling this year the irregularity has been done by the SU. This should be solved and should be transparent.
If we take the hypothesis that you come second in the presidential election to a RON candidate, to an RON candidate, would you accept the presidency as was the case last year?
Yeah, I'll accept the people's mandate. So if I would have elected, if I was in Twins' place last year, I would have definitely be resigned from my place. It Because if you are candidate, if you want to make a change, you have to accept students' mandate. So last year mandate was given to RON. If this year mandate will be given to RON, and if I will be elected as the same situation as what happened last year, I'll definitely resign from my post. I'll also accept students' mandate. If this happen, it happened this year.
Yeah. Just touching on COVID-19, and you've touched on the no detriment policy. How much do you think the SU has done to date? And do you think it can do more? And if so, what can it do more?
Like they're trying to from their perspective, they're trying their best to tell students that they are working in order to make students sure that they are behind them. But I want that there should be no detriment policy, because there are we are living in under uncircumstances, like circumstances which are not certain. So like there are like lots of issues going on, lots of problems, like people students people like students relatives are losing their life. You won't believe, two of our students lost their life while battling mental health issues. In order to like give them confidence, there should be a policy just like no detriment policy, so they can work without any fear.
I'd like to look at Durham on the whole as we come to the final section. How comfortable do you feel sitting on the Senate alongside the Provost, Vice Chancellor, and others?
I will be very privileged to sit alongside with the vice chancellor. I'll also make sure that I'll raise students' voice in front of them. Whatever students like come to me regarding an issue or problem, I'll surely put their voice in front of our vice chancellor, so that their voices are heard, and so that even our vice chancellor should make a decision in the order, so that all students feel satisfied and like they accept vice chancellor's decision happily.
And there will be a new Vice Chancellor if you were to become SU president. How comfortable do you feel working with someone that you currently don't know about or you are unaware with in terms of bringing them into the Durham society?
It doesn't matter, because it will the same for me. I haven't talked to my vice chancellor, and it will be the same next year. It will be for the first time I'll be talking to our vice chancellor. I just want to ask one thing to you. what do you feel? How many people have communicated with a vice chancellor? More than 0.3 or 4%. So it doesn't make a difference. Like I'll be talking, I'll be doing work with a new vice chancellor or with old vice chancellor. It will be the same.
Mm. And on the subject of representation, how comfortable do you feel purporting or putting forward an idea or a policy that you don't believe in, but that the people behind you do believe in?
I'll make sure that I'll just check whether this policy is right or wrong. If like people
But
may have
if you don't believe it's right,
I got your point. Like if you know, in democracy everyone have different opinion, different ideologies. So it's not that I might be wrong sometime, you might be wrong sometime. It's all about getting in touch. There will I'll make policy when there's consent. There's consent between our whole exec.
and I'd like to ask two sort of pithy questions at the end. How has your time at Durham been?
It's great. Meeting new people. It's great experience as an international student. I've met a lot of people from different background, different culture, a diversity among students. It's a great experience. I want that all should have the same great experience, just like me, what I had.
And in one sentence, what would an SU presidency look like with you as SU president?
Uh, SU president, as I've told earlier, SU president should have. SU president has only one duty: to secure social welfare of all students. It's not about getting jobs. It's all about working for them.
Aditya, Lathar, thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much. Nice talking to you. Have a good day.
For more of Purple Radio's interviews with candidates in the run-up to the SU election, click on the playlist now.